Little whale kit. So you just have to open the kit. You're gonna have your whale, some clay, some paint, which we'll use in a little bit, and a brush. What you're gonna need in addition right now is a pencil, because we're gonna draw some things before we start. So what I'm gonna draw is I'm gonna draw a nice, with a pencil on the bottom, I'm gonna draw like a belly to our whale. Then next, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just draw a little harder so you can see. Draw a nice smile, because I'm going to make an eye out of clay to go right about there. Looking good? Perfect. So then we are going to put this away with the pencil. And what we are going to focus on next is we are going to make an eye. So we're going to use this clay. So what you could do is you're just going to open up your clay. You get it open, or you might need a scissor. Open up your clay. And what I'm going to do is, this is just Model Magic. So it's going to air dry the clay. So we'll probably make our clay and then we'll paint it tomorrow. So I'm going to mix around my clay a little bit. The more you work with it, the easier it'll be to work with. So the first thing I'm gonna do, you guys could pause the video if you wanna play with it a little bit, but right now I am going to just make an eye. So I'm just gonna pinch off a little piece. I'm gonna even pinch off a little, and you're gonna roll it into a nice meatball. And then once you have it in a meatball, you could flatten it just slightly. I'm gonna actually move he's gonna have big eyeball. And then what I'm gonna do on there, so I'm just going to make a little meatball, and almost like the size of a pea, and put it right there. So you're going to have a lot of extra clay. So at this point, if you want, you can make like a blowhole for you can make water coming out of the whale. Or you could just keep your clay and play with it. So I'm just like rolling little worms, and I'm making one side a little bit smaller than the other. So that looks like water coming up. All right, so what I'm gonna do actually, so I'm gonna take my scissor again, and I'm just gonna cut off that end right there. Lots of shadows today. I'm gonna cut off that end. Some more lights on. I'm gonna cut off that end so that dude's gonna just glue right there. It almost looks like a crown. Beautiful. So then any clay parts you could put aside right now. We're gonna let those dry, and then we'll come back and we will paint everything. So let them dry. They'll probably need a couple of hours. I would leave them overnight. So say goodbye to your whale for right now, leave it overnight, and then we'll come back and start painting everything. All right, so today is painting day of the whale. So I have, these guys are mostly dry. I'm gonna put them aside. And first I'm going to paint the whale. So you're gonna need a cup of water nearby, and also a paper towel just to wash and dry your paper. So I have some clay from yesterday. So what we're gonna do is we are going to paint the whale. I'm going to paint you could do whatever colors. You only have 3 colors, so you can't go that crazy. These are just acrylic paint, so if you want to paint it a different color, go for it. A pink whale would be cute. But I am just going to paint the belly of my whale. I'm going to paint it white right now. As I'm painting that white, I'm just going to put a teeny bit of blue on your brush. And mix that in. I'm going to make like a light blue. Okay, so then you can wash and dry your brush, and then I'm just going to paint my whole whale blue. And you're going to go right over whatever lines you made for your mouth or your eyes. You should also do the edges too. I'm going to paint the whole thing blue, and then we're going to go back. Do your edges, do the top of the tail. So I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'm going to add a second coat to this. So I'm going to let this dry for a second, and then we're going to start adding our second coat. All right, so I let this dry a little bit. I did my second coat, let it dry, and next what we're gonna do, while that's even drying more, I'm trying to find my paintbrush. That's not my paintbrush. While that's even drying more, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna start painting my clay. So to paint the clay water, I'm actually gonna paint it white. And and then as I paint it white, I'm gonna mix a little blue into it so it gets like a light blue. And the clay is kind of a fun texture to paint. Goes on pretty smooth. So I have my water coming out of my water spout. And then all I'm gonna do is paint some black in my eye. The clay's already white, so I'm not gonna go too crazy painting that. My favorite thing to do, once you paint that black, I'm going to use the back of my brush and I'm just going to add a little white dot into my black. A little eyeball. Okay, I'm going to let both those dry. And what I'm going to do with a little black on my brush, I'm going to make my mouth. So depending on what kind of brush you have, I have a flat brush, so I'm just going to use the corner of my brush. And I'm going to draw a nice little line to make my mouth. He's a friendly whale. After I do that, I'm just going to add, so the bottoms of some whales have like the white bottom and it has like, it's almost segmented his body, not segmented, but it has some lines running through. With the corner of the brush, I'm just going to make some lines with black. Also on his tail, I'm just going to add some lines. And if you put too much, you could always put some blue on your brush and just blend it. All right, so once this is all dry, what you're going to do, I'm not even going to wait for it to dry, but what you're going to do is find some glue. Any glue will work, whether it's a glue stick, Elmer's glue, school glue, any glue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure your glue isn't stuck like this one is. Ready? My glue is stuck. Take my handy dandy scissor. All right, so once you get your glue unstuck, there we go. I'm gonna put a little glue on. A little bit goes a long way. I'm gonna even use my finger. I'm gonna glue my eye. And then at the bottom of my water spout, I'm going to glue, and you might just have to press this down for a little bit, like a couple seconds to make sure it glues. Looks like he has funky hair. You do not have to do the water spout. If you don't, you could just do an eye. An eye would look good. I'm just going to take my water spout off. The eye looks cute. So there, you have your whale is finished, whether you want to use your water spout or not. I chose not to in the end. I think he looks cute with his little giant eye. So I hope you guys had fun as your whale goes swimming away.